it was great to learn about not only what you have to do on track, but also behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite weeks of the year. It's F1 release week, so obviously there's no other topic than Codemasters' newest iteration of the franchise. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe to not miss any of our videos here at Overtake. And to make sure you're not only getting our opinion on the game, we'll be joined by Thea Muzante to get her thoughts on the new title. If you don't know her already, you can find reviews, first impressions, and obviously a ton of racing on her channel. Later on, she's going to show us some of the things she really likes in the new game. But before that, let's take a look if they have once again proven that they are truly the masters of code.
Formula One has been in full swing since March. Now we can finally start virtually. F1 2021 is the latest addition to the franchise, and like every year, it brings all the new cars and drivers from the 2021 lineup. The game offers a completely new story mode called Breaking Point. Starting in F2, we follow the journey of Aiden Jackson as he races his way to the top to become an F1 legend. After fighting for the F2 title, we choose a team we want to join for the 2020 season. From a limited selection, the story is told in many layers via beautifully cut scenes, emails, social feeds, and phone calls. We don't want to spoil the plot too much, but get ready for a lot of drama that kicks off in your very first F1 race. In addition, the game offers even more content with the classic career mode. It even adds some welcome changes to the well-established formula. The new circuits, on the other hand, Imola, Portimao and the Jeddah Street Circuit, will arrive at a later date with an already planned post-launch DLC, all of which sadly will not be laser scanned. Let's talk about the technical side of things. We tested F1 2021 on PC and the PS5 and liked both versions a lot. Visually, it looks amazing and runs buttery smooth, with no hiccups whatsoever at a high frame rate. On to the gameplay. Don't expect a revolution in car handling. It feels almost exactly the same as last year, which definitely isn't a bad thing. It still isn't a simulation, but if you're willing to get involved in the gameplay, it can be surprisingly fun. So if you're searching for a light-hearted F1 game, you surely can't go wrong with F1 2021.
We also have a full-length review waiting for you guys, which will release shortly, so stay tuned and keep your eyes peeled on our channel. Whilst we've already had the pleasure of giving it our all in the new F1 game, our guest today already spent a bunch more time in F1 2021. Of course, Thea, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I cannot complain. I mean, it's F1 release week. We do finally have the new title. Were you looking forward to this week?
I was actually, I think it feels like it's been ages that it was announced. Everyone was talking constantly about it. Yeah, and I've had the opportunity to try Breaking Point, the story mode, and also a little bit of the other features. I've done a bit of time trial. I've done a bit of my career. So yeah, I couldn't wait for the game to be out so that I can explore it a little bit further and that my community as well can start finding out a bit more.
Of course, as now you've already touched the finished product a bit, what was your go-to game mode in the previous titles? So, of course, you start with F1 2020, right?
Yes, so obviously in F1 2020, they didn't have any sort of story mode. And this is why I've got Devon here, because I've just tried it and I thought that everyone's been talking about him. Everyone's been warning me how terrible this guy was. So he's been definitely surprising me in chapter 1 and 2. So I thought I'll bring him along with us today. But my go-to for F1 2020 was definitely MyTeam. And well, it was great because I had not much understanding about motorsport or F1 in general, and it taught me a lot about running a team, all the different things you have to be careful with when you're on track. You know, just managing your tires, learning about the strategy. Yeah, it was great to learn about not only what you have to do on track, but also behind the scenes. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was maybe a little complicated for a new starter like me. I thought there was a lot of information, and to be honest, it took me a couple of times trying again MyTeam so that I would get a good result, because the first 2 times I think I finished last.
there's always a learning curve, and we've seen anytime that a new team actually joins the regular sport as well, that there is always a learning curve in their experience as well. So was there anything that you were kind of hoping for between 2020 and 21? We've asked our community as well, and they said, well, we want to see more tracks, and we want to see the tracks that are actually in the regular season now, as well as it is such a fluid season. Yeah, I mean, what were you hoping for most from game to game?
Well, of course, I think like everyone, I was hoping for more tracks because it just adds more diversity to what you can actually go into and pick. So I know they've announced free tracks, which will be obviously post-launch. I think there's Portimao, Jeddah, and Imola. And I'm already familiar with Imola, so I'm really looking forward to having that on racing with the F1. I've only raced GT3s there so far. I was hoping, like I just said, for MyTeam was my go-to. So I was hoping for that to be a little bit more customizable, which they have absolutely done now. So now it's not really called MyTeam anymore, and you can customize it a little bit more so that you've got really what you're comfortable with. So I think it makes it more accessible for a new starter to have a sort of simpler way of working things in my career. But there's also a sort of more detailed way of playing my career. So you can still have like a really good in-depth game, and as well a more of a starter game as well. So yeah, that's what I was hoping to see, really. And then new tracks, and I think they've delivered on that.
Yeah, I mean, I've basically only had a chance to get a couple of laps in time trial earlier, but apart from that, I've not really touched it myself. I'm looking forward to actually going through the different menus and trying out the different stories as well. I was actually able to play, I think it was 2019 when they actually introduced the whole story thing, and that was already great. I thought it was always too short, but it's nice that they have a new iteration of it. Of course, I mean, you're already sitting quite comfortably in your rig. Let's maybe have a look at what the game actually looks like.
Yeah, sure. So since MyTeam was my favorite part of F1 2020, I thought I'd just give you a little tour of the F1 2021 my career. So here I've started a career which I made a little video of a little while ago now, and I'm obviously driving the Alpine because I think it's just the most fabulous livery in games. So that's why I've picked them. Yeah, when you go through the menu, I think it's a lot more simple to read. They've updated the UI, which is a lot better, clearer, easier to navigate, I think. So yeah, you don't have to go inside each of the different areas now. It's just it's clearer. You've got everything in in clearer UI, I'd say overall. And you can recognize some of the previous features that are still there, but again, a bit more simplified. They've changed a little bit as well, the ratings and how it was displayed. So yeah, I really enjoyed the new layout.
All right, so Thea, do you want to show us a quick lap?
Okie dokie, so let me take you on lap around Zandvoort with its improved last banking turn. Really looking forward to go through that. And in the colors of the Aston Martin. So no particular reason why I picked this team to do the lap. Although I was a Vettel fan before, so maybe that's why. Could be. I am currently... Oh, I felt that for the wheel. The surface setting is on realistic, so I could feel already through that straight a lot of bump in the road, which I wasn't feeling before in F1 2020. And there, I just touched slightly the curb. I could feel it as well. Incredible. In terms of graphics, I think the game is a lot more realistic. And as a sim racer, that's really what I'm looking for when I pick up a game. I think that's why ACC is one of my favorite simulator. And I think that the F1 2021 is definitely scoring some point for me over here. I should get my driver excuses up as well. The physics have been improved a lot, so you will have to constantly change, work on your setup and see what works to make your car the best possible for the track. The old setup, I believe, shouldn't be... you shouldn't be able to use them. I felt that first. That was amazing. And really immersive experience. Loving it. I think so far it's scoring more points than F1 2020 for me. So really looking forward to finding out more on all the other tracks and more of the game. We did it! We finished a lap of Salvo! Woo!
We've talked about a lot of the things that you've liked already about the new game and what has changed. Is there anything negative that you can highlight already?
So my favorite simulator is ACC, and for me, the big letdown has always been the AI in this game, because I found them either really too aggressive or they've been just not aggressive enough. There's no right balance. It seems when you increase the AI, then it just it's just dive bombing you in every turn. So in ACC, they have the aggression level, but also the speed. So you can just kind of like race fast car, which wouldn't be too aggressive with you. So it gives you a bit of flexibility, I'd say. So I think I'd like to see some progress to be done around this. I've done a couple of races. And I don't know, I didn't see much changes on that. So I think that's where I'd like to see a progress to be made.
Yeah, I think at least we've already seen that Codemasters in general, and also with EA behind it now publishing it, have been a little bit more forthcoming in what kind of features they're working on. And I think that is definitely a good message, because then there might be a more positive feedback loop as well between the developers and the community as well. So yeah, I mean, that already kind of brings it to our end. I mean, thanks for taking the time. And if you have anything to plug, now is your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, good luck to everyone who plays the game.
I've just been asked if I want to grab some laps in our rig, so let's head on over and I'll give you my first impressions.
I just finished a couple of laps in F1 2021. It's definitely feeling different. To be honest, though, it might also be the different setup. Of course, I don't have a rig like this at home, but I mean, it is tremendous, the force feedback as well. However, it's a shiny new game. A lot of things are different. We do have ray tracing now from the get-go. Do have to say that, of course, I mean, F1 2020, I did play at the start, really fell in behind after I started my career, went into the third season, and then didn't really continue it. But already looking forward to have a story mode back, be able to hopefully also decide a lot more things similar to back in 2019. And then, of course, also when it comes down to the career modes, not having that annoying tree when it came down to the upgrade paths, but to actually have a little bit more of a menu to work through and know exactly what you're trying to look for. Because I always thought that, especially for starters, that might be a little bit complicated to kind of be on that path. Although, I mean, in some teams, certainly the path is developed that way as well. So in general, of course, it feels more and more like the usual F1 video game. The menu's a little bit different, a couple of paths are different, but still, I mean, it's more the way that we want it and the way that we love it as well. Looking forward to when the new tracks actually come out as well, to try some of those, because of course it is tracks that partially Formula One has never raced at before, especially not with this era of cars. So just to give it your own shot and see how it goes.
That's it already for today's Nitro Nights show. As always, I really hope you enjoyed watching. If you have any feedback, just let us know in the comments below. And if you want to get our full review of F1 2021, don't worry, it's almost done. Just keep an eye out on our social media to know when it drops. As per usual, our next show is in 2 weeks. Until then, stay safe and buckle up. So thanks for tuning in. If you missed our last episode, we had a blast with Olli Pakala and his Overpower rigs. You can check it out over here, or take a look at our video about 5 new tracks that would make F1 2021 legendary. Maybe some of them are even coming to the game soon. Until then, enjoy watching and see you next time.